All right. The first thing is, okay, it's clear with everyone, importing these libraries and then loading the data set. That is clear. Now, what you need to do is the first thing you do, as I've already told you, is you do your data frame dot head, because when you load your data set, you don't know what it looks like. Okay. So you need to see what it looks like, right? These are your columns. These are the values in your rows. All right. Now, as I've already told you, you need to understand that you're not only doing this EDA for yourself, you are also doing it to show other people. Okay, I am not going to be the only one who sees your EDA. There are going to be other people and they don't know what the data looks like. Even I told you that you can use any data set of your choice. So I am not exactly aware of how all of them look like. Okay, so I need to see them. You need to see them, and anyone who accesses your analysis, they need to see it. Okay. All right. And then you do the column things. Now, see, one thing I have noticed is that for this particular thing, there are trailing spaces. If you don't know what trailing spaces is, they are space that is this space before or after any of your name. Okay, whatever title or name or whatever you have, the space that is before or after it, that is called trailing space. And you need to remove these spaces, okay, because they create problems later. See, for example, if you want to access this profit column, you cannot write DF, you cannot write bike, and in the square bracket you write profit. That won't give you access to this thing, because you will also need to have this space before and after that. Okay, and that is a problem because not everyone is going to look at this profit thing and they are not going to see ki, yes, there are trailing spaces. They won't know that. So when you are cleaning the data, you need to do that. You need to find this. Okay, see, there are many trailing spaces here. So you strip them. Strip when you don't specify how you want to strip it, it strips based on the spaces. Okay, so when the spaces are gone, this is the only thing you're left with. So you strip them. And then you change your columns as they are needed. All right. If, for example, here you see this is sales order and there's a hashtag which is number. We know that. But it's not exactly, does not exactly look professional. If you write order number instead of it, that sounds better. So you can do that. There are many columns where you don't know what they are referring to. Okay, in this particular data set, it's pretty clear, but there are many times you won't know what is there in the data. So this is something you need to do. Okay, and then before you do this info thing, you need to know the shape of your data set. All right, I have told you this before. If you don't know what the shape of your data set is, if you don't know there are 89 rows in your data set, if this shows you 89 non-null values, you won't know that. I get that it's written here, but it's not exactly visible at one glance, right? So it's better if you have it somewhere, if you have it written somewhere. Okay, so it's better that you do that. This is one thing I've noticed in almost all of your assignments. You don't follow a particular order. There are things that you need to do first, and then there are things you need to do later. One such example is this describe thing. Many of you did it before, just because I was the one who did it before when I was giving you the examples of the things you can do for your data, the things you should do for your data. Now, see, if you do bike.describe, you only get a couple of these columns. You don't get all of them. So when you clean all of these, when you extract these values, look at the unit cost, unit price, profit cost. You should know the maximum and minimum of these, right? But it's not included here because the data is not clean yet. So you do describe your data, but it's preferable if you do it after you have cleaned. Like you clean all of this, you do all these steps, and then you run this cell. Okay, it's fine if you write it beforehand. That is not a problem. But because anyone who is seeing your data, they need to know, ki, yes, this is the count, this is the mean, this is the max and min, whatever it is, they need to know that. So it's better if this is there before, but it's much better if you run this cell after you have cleaned your data so you can get every column that is required. Okay. Okay, I've seen that some of you have dropped the all the rows with null values before you even know what these rows look like. Okay, that is not the right way of doing things. You cannot just drop any row that has null values. You need to understand you do this drop NA only when the majority of the columns are empty or all of the columns are empty. That's when you do this, or when you have some values that you cannot fill. In this example, I'll show you that you cannot use drop NA. It's not the right approach. And why is that? You'll see. And this also, don't always fill the null values with the mean. It's not always right. Okay, sometimes you need to fill it with the mod, sometimes with some other value. Sometimes there's a particular value that you need to fill it with. And you won't know that until you experiment with your data. And that is something that was the entire assignment. Experiment with your data. Okay, and some people have also sorted it randomly. Like, I don't know why. For example, some people have sorted it on age group, for instance. That did not happen, but there were some things you sort it based on age group. What difference is it making? If you have, say, 80 plus wale people pehle, what difference does it make to the data? It's not exactly useful to you. If you sort it based on revenue, that is useful because this is the data for sales of something. So the more revenue or the more profit there is, that is something we might need. We might need to see that first. Okay. All right. One of you, please tell me if you need this sales order number column in this data. Any one of you, you can unmute yourself or you can write in the chat box, either is fine. But I need you guys to answer if this column is important or not, if you should just drop it or keep it. Not important, drop it. Why do you guys do this on direct messages? Please do it so everyone can see what you're saying. This is what I'm asking if you guys to do on Discord as well. Okay, I am pretty sure most of you would say that this is not important. And this is absolutely your call. If you think that it's not important, it's completely fine. And if you think it's important, that's also fine. For me, I think it might be important. For example, say you you treat this data like it's given to you in the real world. Okay, not just here. It's given to you in the real world to analyze what is happening in the data. They need inferences from it. Okay, we can look into which one. Yes, exactly. That is what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying. Okay. If you have your order number and say, for instance, some of the values are missing, you can ask someone, yes, the values for this order number are missing. If you don't have the order number, how else would you identify that? Because these things are stored based on the order number. It's the ID of that sale, right? So you need to keep it just in case. And if you drop it, that's also okay. But there should be a particular reason why you are dropping it or why you are keeping it. What Piyush said is exactly what I think. That we do need to keep it. If we find a maximum sale, we do need to keep it. Okay. And then we have, all right. Then when you do this dot info, you see there are floating objects, right? Floats and ints are both fine. But if the float can be converted into int, that is even better. Okay, so what you need to see is if that float can be converted into int type. Okay, so we'll start with order quantity. This one. Okay, this is a float data type, and we will see if we can convert it into int. And as you see, there are some columns here that have one null value in them. Okay, so we have to deal with that too. And you'll only know these things if you talk to your data, if you see what it's trying to tell you. Now you see here, you have this, not a number. In order quantity, there is one place which is not a number. So what will you do? This is what the order quantity looks like. Any one of you, just tell me what you would do.
Can you repeat your question?
What?
Just repeat one.
In order quantity, you have some value where it is written that that value is not a number. So how would you deal with that here? Say it's a null value. See, we do have one null value there. This is your data set. Okay. Replace by mod. No, that is not what you would do. And that is exactly what some people have done. See, okay, what is this? The unit cost. Okay, the price of one unit, the price at which the seller bought it. Unit price is the price at which you sold it, multiplied by the quantity. Okay, no, wait, the price at which you sold it. Profit is the total profit. Out of all the order quantity you sold, that is the profit. And then the cost for the customer, and then the cost that the price, the total price you paid for four of these. Okay, that is the cost. And the revenue is four times of the unit price, what the customer paid you. Okay, so if you have all of these values, can you find the order quantity? I'm expecting an answer from you guys. You have the unit cost, unit price, profit, cost, revenue. You have all these values. The only thing you don't have is the order quantity. So can you find it? Yes, exactly. You can. And that is exactly what we're going to do. See, if you had just done this drop NA, then this value would have been gone. Okay, this would not have been included in your analysis. And that is wrong because there are some things that you can fill based on the values here and there. You can check them and you can fill it. This is me printing that value where just to find how many rows are there where not a number values are. Turns out it's only the row number 22. Okay, see, the cost is 0 and we don't even have the revenue as well. So we cannot use revenue. An order quantity is not a number. So the only things you can use to fill this order quantity are unit cost, unit price, and profit. And it's pretty simple. If the unit price is 540 and cost is this and profit is this, you can just add the unit cost and profit and you know that only one of these things was purchased. So you know the order quantity is one. But no, you won't do it manually. You will apply a formula and then you'll do it. Now the unit cost, price, profit, revenue, and everything is in they have this dollar sign and they're in this floating points. Floating points are fine because it's a cost. So it can be 0.50, 0.75, anything can happen. So floating points are fine, but this dollar sign needs to go, right? So that is what we do. We take all these columns and in one line, we remove this dollar sign. Okay, and this is the values we have now. Now see, even for unit cost, there is a zero value, right? And again, it's only in one row that you have this zero value. The unit cost is zero. We have the price, profit, and revenue and quantity, but this cost and unit cost are zero. So we use a formula, unit price minus this profit, because this is the total profit of all the quantity sold divided by this order quantity, and then we fill it. And now if you print this fourth row, see, your unit cost is now filled and it is now correct based on your formula. This is one of the biggest reasons. Similarly, you can fill every one of these. All these null values you have, you can fill all of them based on a formula, because there is no row where everything is null, where you cannot use a formula in order to find out the values. And no one told me that you can do it this way. All I did was not drop everything beforehand, try to find out what the problem is and then solve it. Okay, some of you also use the training and testing splitting for some reason. That is used when you want to train your model, not when you are doing your analysis. All right. So if you are doing the training, that is for the model. So that we will do later. For now, that is not needed. And one of you used the trained data to perform everything. He also made graphs based on it. That is not the right approach. Okay, and the next thing is, many of you are just making these correlation graphs or the heat maps, and that's it. You make the pair plots and that's it. But no, what you need to do is you look at this and then you find, okay, mm, okay, if you make a graph between order quantity and profit, is that going to be useful? Order quantity and profit. I need an answer from you guys. This is not how it's going to work. It's your assignment, not mine. Whatever you submit, I can grade it and it won't be a problem for me because I am doing my job. It's time you do yours. A graph between order quantity and profit. Would it be useful? Yes, it would be useful. Okay. Nope, but they are linearly related already. Okay. All right, good. The thing is, no, that would not be beneficial. One, because like you said, Mitesh, they are already linearly related in some sense. But there's also the thing that one thing cost 420, one cost 1252. So the unit cost is different. The order quantity and profit are, if the unit cost is the same, then yes, they are linearly related, which is very obvious. But if the unit cost is different, then no, that graph does not make sense to make. But if you see the country, how many orders are there in one country, how many orders are there in a state, how many what kind of products are the highest selling, that makes sense. Which kind of products are making you the highest revenue? Those are the kind of graphs that will make sense to you. Which is the gender that is purchasing the best, the most bikes? I think Samarth is the one who did make many graphs, and some of them were very nice. But you can make more of them. You can use a lot of things. You can use the average price like Samarth did. That was a very nice thing he did. Okay, yes. In one of your assignments, no, in maybe more than that, some of you people, since in this particular data set, the product category and subcategory are both equal. Okay, they are, all of them are bikes, all of them are mountain bikes. So you drop that. Okay, and that is completely okay, but you just need to mention it. Okay, just like write it in a comment, or write it like this. Yes, all of these values are for that, and you need to also create graphs for that. Like I said, you are doing pair plots, correlation maps, heat maps, and everything, but you are not creating individual graphs that will make sense. So create individual graphs, and on top of it, mention that this is the sale for mountain bikes. Okay. And in some of them, there were only like for the gender, there were only M and F. So what you did was replace M with 0, F with 1. Okay. And that is also okay. But try to use label encoding if possible, because it works faster, first of all, and it would help if, say, a third variable comes in there. Okay. Okay. Again, in this country thing, um, I've not shown it, but the United States was written in 4 or 5 different ways. It was the same country, but it was written in different ways. So if you do by country.unique, you would have gotten it. There were trailing spaces behind you, and after this S, there were trailing spaces in two of them. So you strip this from spaces. So those trailing spaces disappear. But this was a problem because this had two spaces instead of one. So this I had to do manually. That is done. Now you create a plot. See, when you are creating a plot, you have to try to make it look pretty. No, that is not, like, it's not a joke or a girl thing. It's just anyone who sees your data, they won't like seeing it. For example, if I remove this, okay, this was the original graph I was getting. Is it nice to look at? No, it's not. But if you look at this, it looks slightly better than that. Slightly better, because this is very disturbing here. Okay, so you can even sort it. This is a sorted graph. This is much better than this one. Okay, because this is sorted. So you immediately know that, yes, these are the places where the highest uh, bikes are selling. Okay, highest number of bikes are selling in these two areas. And these areas are the ones which need work. You don't always need the highest one, because if a business is asking you to do this analysis, that means that they want to grow. So US and Australia are the places they are already doing well in. What they need is Canada, Germany, or France. Okay, these are the things they need. So you can even flip it and make the graph go like this. Okay, so the first thing they see are the areas that need improvement. Okay, and this is one important thing. Go back to the resources. If there are things that you don't understand कि yes, क्या क्या कर सकते हैं इस data के साथ, go back to your resources. Look at pandas resources, look at matplotlib resources, look at different resources and see ki okay, pandas is capable of doing this. Does my data need this? Can my data use this? Try to find different things. I have also given you some basic EDA key resources. If you want, find more. The internet is full of everything. Use documentations. Documentations contain literally everything that that library can do. Go back to those. Okay, and see, you can also create a world map plot for these country things. Okay, that is also a possibility. Once again, order is extremely important. The order you are submitting these things to me in. If you are creating graphs first, describing the data later, does not make sense. There are some things that need to be followed. See, now if you describe your data, this is the data you should have gotten. Okay, this is what was needed. Okay, these are some very basic things that you guys are doing. Okay, and there is also, okay, one of you, Akansha, I think, she had this plot and for the food data set. And this is exactly what I was telling you about heat maps, because there was this white, since white represents one, and this black thing represents -1. So these are the variables you need. You can clearly see which of them have a relationship. These all will have a relationship because they are the same columns, and these have a relationship with each other. These have that, and this one is linear, inversely proportional. Okay, you can clearly see which one have a relationship between them, and then you plot these separately, either just as they were supposed to be or in a different way. You just plot them, you find them and you plot them. And this will only be a good plot if the data is in int or float form. Okay, it will not work well for object data type. Okay, see, do not submit things that are pointless in your analysis. Okay, one of you created a whole new column and all it had was values that were 0. There was nothing else except zeros in that column. So I have no idea why you created that column, but if you're trying new things, that is okay. But when you submit it, remove those things. Go through your entire assignment once again, remove those things, and then submit them to me. And see if you can, if you want to, if you tried something and then you came to an inference, write it. Like write it like this or make a comment, write it somewhere. Okay, do not submit all of that to me. That is not the, because what I need from you is a clean data set. I don't need the I don't exactly need the things you tried. I need the steps of how you came there, how you made the data clean. And many of you did not have a clean data set. There are many things here. For those of you who missed this, who used this data set, there are many things you missed here. One of you did this thing where you remove this date part and you like converted it into day, month, and year. And month and year, since they were similar, you removed that. That was a very good thing you did. Okay, these are the things I need you guys to understand. And no one of you created this age group wala graph. No, there was one person. Only one person was there who created this kind of graph, but you created it from customer age, not from here. Okay, so only one of you did that. That is also a very good thing to do. So all I need you to do is understand what kind of things there are that you can do with your data, and then go do them. If that is clear, you can leave. And if you have any questions, you can stay.